We meet again. How are you? Welcome back to the Dan Wheeler Show. And we have another Behind the Mask. This time with Joe Flackers, Brighton, videographer, photographer, editor, and all-round lovely dude. In tonight's interview, we find out about his photographic memory, him escaping the border at Singapore, his ethnic background origins, his friendships with Ren, Victus, Claire, Jess. So if you're into photography, if you're into videography, if you like editing or the art of all of that together, this is going to be a real treat. It is my humble pleasure to introduce Joe Flackers. My name's Dan Wheeler. This is Behind the Mask. This is the Dan Wheeler Show. Enjoy. Don't forget to like it with a friend. It really helps. It really helps.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
It's my pleasure.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, man. We're in Brighton. We are in the Walrus in Brighton. It's a lovely pub, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
You been here before?
A couple of times.
I know we came here for Vic's interview.
We did, yeah.
But is this like your usual hang?
I wouldn't say it was, but it might be from now on.
What is your usual? Just want to bring that closer to you, mate.
My usual... there's quite a few.
Okay.
We never usually go to the same one.
Nice. What's your favourite?
My favourite pub would probably be... I don't know if it's a pub. I like Revolutions.
Oh, the club.
Yeah, I love the little cocktails.
Nice,
And
yeah.
you get nice food, drink like a nice little fruity cocktail. You know.
What's your fruitiest cocktail? What do you enjoy? Mojito?
You know, like rum punch.
Yeah. Oh, you're a rum fan, are you? Nice.
Yeah, I like rum.
What's your favourite rum?
There's this rum called Bamboo, which
Okay.
you can get, and it's like got banana and toffee, like banoffee, and it
Very
comes
nice.
in like an old pirate bottle,
Okay.
and yeah,
It's nice.
it's nice.
Nice. Nice. When was the last time you went to Revolutions?
I tried to get in the other night.
Well, who got you into rum?
Myself, I think.
Oh, I see. It was like
Yeah.
a teenage discovery.
Well, you know when you walk to the bar and the barman goes, like, what would you like? And you're, well, I don't know, like a kid drinking underage for the first time. And you
What
don't
can
know.
I have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lists off everything. And then you're like, I'll have that one.
And then you
Or
just
like-
stuck with that.
Exactly.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
So, to introduce yourselves, because obviously I know you not relatively well at all. We've been talking over the last
Yeah.
few weeks. You're a videographer, you're a photographer, editor. Kind of give us your CV. What do you do?
I started off as a street photographer when it came to like photography.
Okay.
Well, that's when I started properly getting into photography. So I'd go out on the street and I'd take random people that I'd either talk to first or not talk to, depending on how I thought the picture would come out. And then from that, I sort of got more into photography because you pick up a lot of skills when you do that, doing photography, because as you see in like my vlogs with other people, when other people try street photography, they realize you've got to be so fast with the camera to do
imagine,
it, because
yeah.
it's like you got a split second to catch what you want, and if you don't, it's gone. So you pick up a lot of skills doing it, and whilst picking up those skills, I started to try out different things because I got bored of doing that and stuff like that. And I have friends that basically, I don't know, they do a lot of creative stuff. So they always have a need for someone to catch what they're doing. And they always have a need for someone to, I don't know, make it look good. But I'm cheap. Well, I was cheap because like I wasn't, no one really knows who I am. So like not a professional from way back in the day.
Sure.
I went to uni and did like broadcast media, so I knew how to edit, but I never finished. So I never came out with a degree, and I went straight into bar work. So transitioning from that into a world where there are people that have been doing it since they were whatever age is not easy. So for me, my way into the market was people saw my photos and they'd be like, oh, you can catch a good photo, you know? And then they see my videos that I made on the seafront and they'd be like, oh, that looks nice. And then I try and bargain with that to get somewhere with it, and it worked.
And then go from there. What stops you from doing the degree? What was the degree?
So I did a degree in broadcast media at the
Nice.
University of Brighton, and, well, like, for the first year I was doing very well, and then partway through the second year, I sort of, I don't know, I stopped paying attention.
Okay.
I started going out with my friends a lot more, and then I sort of got into some bad habits, and then kind of dropped out.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So was it just overwhelming, or was it just the social side took you away?
I don't know. I'm not one of the sort of people that learn very well, like in a school type setting.
Mate,
like,
I can relate.
Yeah. So it was cool doing, the practical work and stuff, and I enjoy that. But when it comes to sitting in a classroom and learning how to color grade for the next 6 hours,
Yeah.
because those lectures were like 5-6 hours long, and they're just like you get a break in the middle, but you spend all day with this teacher, and it's no fault of his own, but he doesn't seem like he really wants to be there either. Like the editing lecture I had, you could smell alcohol in his breath like half the day.
Really?
And,
Wow.
He was a lovely guy and he taught me a lot, but I don't know, unless I'm really engaged in doing something myself, I'm never going to learn.
Everyone seems to be fighting their own demons, it seems.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you did the first year, second year got a little bit withdrawn and then dropped off. What was it that captured the degree then you thought, I need to do this?
Well, growing up, like my dad used to be the executive vice president of content of MTV Asia.
Okay.
So I grew up doing TV and watching my dad do TV. And for me, I grew up in Singapore. And while I was out there, I was what you call a permanent resident.
Okay.
Which means as like a second generation permanent resident, I had to go into the Singapore Army at the age of 18 or whatever age I got to where I was out of schooling.
Is it conscription out there then?
Exactly.
You've got to do it, right?
So when I got my letter in the post, I'd already seen my best friend go into the army.
Right.
And I'd seen a few of them go in, and they really didn't enjoy it. In fact, one of them ended up in prison in Singapore for a year because he went to Malaysia and smoked a joint and then came back into Singapore. And the day that he got back, he happened to get drug tested.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So even if it's in your blood in Singapore, that's it.
You're
done.
1 year in prison in like a tiny, cramped little cell. He had to ask permission to do anything, like to go to the toilet, to do
1 year.
1 year.
Just for having it in his system.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really strict country. And for me, it wasn't that I was smoking weed.
Sure,
It was
sure.
just like, I didn't want to be in a situation where when you wake up, you get told what to do. I have a hard enough time being told what to do as it is,
I can relate, brother. Yeah.
I have serious authority issues. So, so I ran away. I legged it to the border, got on the first flight I could, and flew back to the UK.
Right, I've got to hear more about this then. So how old were you?
Well, I was 25 at the time because I stupidly got PR late. Because growing up, I'd always been a dependent. My parents were PRs, but I could stay in Singapore because they were PRs.
Forgive my ignorance. PR.
Permanent
residence.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Fine.
So it's like a green card basically, and they were offered Singapore citizenship, and I could probably got it as well. But again, it was the national service thing. So I thought at the age of 25, well, I was 24 when I did it, I wouldn't get called up. But so I got it so I could work mainly out there because I wasn't independent anymore.
Yep.
So I was coming back in on like social visit passes to see my parents, and I moved back and I thought, oh, I can get a job. And I got like a nice job and I was chilling, and then a letter came, and the letter said like, you've got to report to such and such at a certain time.
But you were 24.
Yeah.
So how come it was 6 years after when you were meant to?
So it wasn't. I got permanent residency when I was like 24, but like it was just so I could get a job really.
Gotcha.
And like live out there. I was a dependent till then, and then I moved back to the UK during that time and went to college, like not university, like sixth form college to get like a small degree. But I just mainly wanted to leave Singapore because I lived there so long.
Gotcha.
And
So you lived there from birth?
from when I was 3.
So from 3 to 24, you've been in Singapore full time essentially?
On and off between the ages of 19 and 24.
Gotcha.
And then I came back at 24, like I said, and then I was hoping to get a job and live out there because it's a lovely place to live. And yeah, I got called up to the army, and at first I was going to go, And then I was like, I don't really want it.
No, I can understand why. So how long would you have to? What's the minimum service?
2 years.
So 2 years in the army.
Yeah.
Or say no and they put you in prison.
Basically.
And then how long's the prison sentence?
I think it's the same length as your service.
Of course
in
it
the
is.
army.
Of course it is. Wow. So the little man in Singapore head office was like, yeah, sure, you can stay in the country,
Yeah.
but you've got to do 2 years in the army.
Exactly.
And then you were like, fuck that.
I was like, I'm going.
Yeah,
You know,
I would have been in front of you,
I
mate.
just said to him, if he had asked me, I'd have been like, yes, I'll be there on Monday. Don't worry.
It's Sunday night. Off you go.
There I go.
So you legged it to the border. What, backpack?
Literally just grabbed like one bag full of clothes, a backpack with my computer in.
Nice.
And then, I mean, I could have gone to the Malaysian border and scurried across there to like Malaysia and stayed with my friend. But the Singapore police have a habit of crossing the border with the Malaysian authorities, like, go for it, and then arresting people and bringing them back.
And then bringing them back. Wow.
I'm sure they wouldn't have actually cared about me, like, realistically, but I wasn't going to risk it at all because then I would have been straight into a jail cell. I don't think they would have said, oh, you can go to the army or put me on, like, a boat to the army. I would have just been straight in a cell, I think.
I would imagine it would have been, what, just basic training army? Because Singapore aren't at war with anyone, are they?
Singapore, surprisingly, has one of the, I think, one of the biggest defense budgets, like, in comparison, like, percentage of what I think they spend 3% on defense, which is, like, what NATO's supposed to be spending. So they're always paranoid that they're going to be invaded by their neighbours because it is literally just a tiny island with more money on it than I think most other places in the world.
I see.
It's like, you know, when you look at all the places around Singapore, they're all really poor.
Yeah.
But then you look at Singapore, it's like skyscrapers, just wealth.
It looks gorgeous as a country. I mean, it looks immaculate as well. Like, they've got full-time cleaners everywhere. It just looks like you could eat your food off the floor.
You probably could.
Yeah,
It's the cleanest place.
Is there much crime? I'd imagine crime is low.
Yeah, crime is very low there. Like, almost non-existent.
Would you go back?
Are
you allowed back?
I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Don't. It's not worth it. Yeah, don't risk it.
I've got a new passport now, so I don't know if they could trace it. But
Nice.
yeah.
So you went from Singapore to London?
Yeah, I flew via Qatar, and then I went straight to London.
So there was no passport check. Then no one at the gate went, hold on, he's meant to be in the army.
Well, when I left, I went up, and if you've ever left at Changi Airport, there's these little orange-pink sort of things with these guys in these blue, like, immigration uniform things.
Right.
I passed in my passport, and on the back of the passport, if you're a PR, you have this little stamp that says PR, as well as, like, a card.
Yeah.
And it's blue, from what I remember. And it has this number. Mine was S9175058D.
Wow, good memory. Right.
And
How did you remember that?
I could see it.
Have you got photographic memory?
Yeah. And then, what did you call it? Yes, I looked
A
at
photographer with photographic memory?
Yeah, it helps.
I can imagine, mate, yeah. Wow.
So I looked at the back of the passport and... no, sorry. I was hiding the back of the passport and I was handing it to him, like, hoping he would just look at that page.
Yeah.
And he turned the back of the page and he saw my permanent residency, sat there for a minute, and I was literally shitting myself. Like, I was like, oh, fuck. Because, like, I mean, I don't think I'd get into trouble. I think he'd just go in the back and check. But luckily, I think it was the last thing in the back of his mind that I was there to escape NS, because, of course, how is he supposed to know that I'm supposed to report somewhere on Monday?
Of course.
You know? So he just, like, he passed my passport back and said, have a good holiday, see you when you're back.
Wow.
And I walked through it, I said, thank you. And walked off and got on my plane. And then I was free. Yeah.
That was a close one. Nice.
Yeah.
So you came to England when you were 24?
Yeah.
And obviously you have family here, I assume?
I had my grandma, who I stayed with initially, and my mum's family.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! 'Cause you mentioned obviously your mum and dad, and your dad is still part of MTV or was part of MTV.
He was, yeah.
And you mentioned you were half Indian. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what's the where does the half Indian come from, and where does the other half come from?
So my mum is Indian.
Gotcha.
And like you wouldn't be able to tell if you looked at her. She's
Okay.
like looks Italian or something.
I see.
But,
Okay.
my dad's English.
Gotcha. So your nan is on your dad's side, is?
Yeah, it was my
Gotcha.
dad's side.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And my mum's family live in Birmingham. They're all, lived here her entire life basically, and then moved to Singapore from here. So she's ethnically Indian.
Gotcha.
But like nationality wise, I mean, there isn't much Indian in her.
Gotcha.
Like,
I see. And so what was it that made you guys go to Singapore then? What was the work?
Yeah, it was my dad's work.
Gotcha.
So when he was working for MTV, I think he started in the UK as like a director, and he'd do different shows and stuff like that, and he was a graphic designer. And then I think the opportunity came out when they started MTV Asia for him to move out there, and it was too good of an opportunity to turn down, so he moved us out there. The only problem came about like in later years, like with YouTube and stuff like this, there isn't much need for MTV in the way it was, whereas like this massive company, if you go to MTV Asia, if what my dad says is what it is just someone that puts a tape in a machine and pulls it out when it's done and puts the next one in.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
Plugged in YouTube, press play, that type of
Basically,
thing.
like you don't need to wait for your music videos to come up anymore. They're just on YouTube.
It's crazy, man. I remember being 15, 16, getting ready to go to school, and MTV was all you'd put on. That was the thing. We had Sky as a kid. You put on MTV, you had MTV2, MTV Kids, and there were so many channels. Is it still like that? Or because I would imagine YouTube and Rumble, they've just killed the MTV.
They've completely killed it. From what I understand is like you've got YouTube America, and that makes shows, or it doesn't make shows. I think it buys the rights to shows, and that's about it, from what I understand. Before it was like this big operation, and they would put on like the MTV Asia Awards. So they put on all sorts of shows, and they broadcast about music and stuff. But the last time I watched MTV, I didn't see a single music video, and it wasn't about music. It was just Jersey Shore and
like drama, reality type stuff. Gotcha. So how old were you when you thought, do you know what, having a camera in my hand, that's where I'm going to be?
Well, like from a young age, my dad always sort of tried to get me into photography. Like my dad used to take a few film photos here and there, and he had like a Nikon F100, I think it was. And then when I was younger, he bought me an F50.
Nice.
Which is like the old film cameras, like the SLRs. And he used to take me out occasionally, and we'd take photos, or like when we went traveling, like we'd take photos. I think I took some photos once in Nepal and some places like that.
Oh, lovely.
And we'd go for these family trips, and we have so many photos going through it. But I didn't really ever pick it up as a hobby. He always used to say, "Oh, you've got a good eye for it," but I'd always be like, I'm just gonna go play stuff as a kid.
So how old were you when your dad introduced the camera?
I think he was always introducing me to media type stuff like cameras and, editing and TV, but I didn't actually pick it up myself until 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
This is only 2 years of training?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That was the first street photo I took.
Which one?
The guy in the middle holding the chips.
That's the first photo you took?
Yeah.
That's my favourite photo of yours?
Yeah.
The first photo you took was it?
My skill went downhill from...
Mate!
Yeah.
I can't believe that. That's insane. That's the first photo you took.
Street photo. I took like photos of other things before. I can't actually.
Can't believe that's the first photo you took, mate.
Yeah.
With no disrespect, it's just so good. The lighting, the contrast, the black and white, the depth of it.
Like, so I'd been out and I'd taken photos before, but it was the first time I decided to do like street photography. I went out with my camera, and that was the first one I took. Because I saw the guy standing there, and I just thought to my head, like, he looks really cool. So I went up to him and said, "Yo, dude, can I take your photo?" And he went, "Yeah, why not?"
Wow,
and then
I'm so taken aback by that.
Yeah, I took a few, but they didn't look good. And then I thought, oh, what if I kneel down? So I knelt down, and then as I did that, he just looked out, and then I shot it.
Mate, it's so good. Even the background, like the background is still rugged and not polished, and he's rugged and not polished. He's got a missing tooth and he's eating. There's just so many contrasts to it. You've captured it beautifully. I'm stunned it was your first one.
Yeah.
Wow. And just a random dude on the street eating a bag of chips.
Yeah, basically.
In Brighton, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the perfect Brighton photo. That's incredible, mate. I can't believe that.
And then, I just went out and I took more that day. And, they all seemed to do quite well.
Yeah, indeed. Wow. So what is it when you have a camera in your hands and you're capturing life? What feelings do you have? Like, what is it you're experiencing in that moment?
Well, it's... I don't know how to, explain it, but basically for me, if you've ever seen, how other people express themselves through art, it's like a lot of people, they can sing or they can, write music and stuff like that. If I go out, I usually am feeling a certain way and I want to try and express it through a photo. So I try to see what photo I want to take, and then I look around and I see if it matches up.
Gotcha.
So, if I look over there and I see that person, I'll see the photo before I take it, and then I'll see if it sort of measures up. I've found a lot easier way to do it now, which is just set the setting to what I want to take on the camera and look through it. But, back then I didn't really know how to do it, and it was a really cheap camera that I used to take that. So
that's on a cheap camera as well?
Yeah, that was on a £200 camera.
Wow.
Which is I've sold. It was my first camera that I bought, digital camera.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get the image and you see the
Sort of
subject, you get the image, and you're like,
what I want to
I'll try and take the photo to match what I'm seeing.
Yeah, basically. So I always post in sets, and there'll sort of be a certain mood. So sometimes it will be really moody. Sometimes it will be people having fun and enjoying themselves. And if I'm doing that, I'm in a good mood. But generally, more than anything else, they're pretty gloomy and sort of, either it's someone that's tells a story in their face that I've seen. When I saw him, I was he tells a million stories in a matter of seconds. You know, even if you see him in real life, you're that's a dude that's lived some kind of life.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to make assumptions and judge him on how he looks, but if I was to, I would go struggling, I would go homeless, I would go had a hard life. He could easily be a billionaire, though. Do you know what I mean? Again, he's got that kind of humble look to him, but maybe he's not necessarily rich in terms of money, but rich in terms of life experiences. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say he definitely is.
It's almost like every line on his face is a different experience.
Exactly, like a tree.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It is like a tree. Mm. Yes. Talk me through this peer shot here. Can we slide over?
Oh, this.
Who's this?
This is Ellie, or Tastes Like Dust on Instagram.
Is it a singer, model? What's the score?
Model.
Model, gotcha.
Yeah.
When did you take this?
Well, I took this a while ago.
Okay.
And we were talking beforehand about what, we'd do. And when I met her, she came out dressed as sort of this...
Is she in red by any chance?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the character. It's a famous story. I've never read the story.
Okay.
But it's just what she decided to wear. And I was like, this would be... usually when I meet models and we do photos, I let them completely choose what they want to wear.
Sure.
Unless I have a really specific idea in my head, which is, rare. And then I try and let them stand however they want to stand and do whatever they want. Because, coming from street photography, I was always capturing people. So if I do a photo shoot with a model, I don't want to, force them into something you stand like this, you stand like that. I just want to take a photo of them.
As natural as can be.
Exactly, doing what comes into their head. And I find when I do that, the photos are, much better than the few times I've been try this position or try lie like this, And it's
almost falsifying the position almost.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know why I can see red in this, but I'm thinking I can see big red lips, quite pale white skin, and then like a black or purple top. Is that what? Can you remember?
Yeah.
What was the hat? Was the hat red as well?
I think it was all red from what I can remember. I think she even had a red wig on, and Ellie brought a toothbrush, and she was brushing the. Yeah, it was red, and there was like black on her teeth from something, or red, and she was brushing it off. It was like makeup.
Oh, I see. Well, like lipstick on her teeth or something.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was like it was a brush. I can remember doing that. It was a funny day. That was forever ago.
It's a great shot, mate. She's got some sass and some confidence. It's almost like she's fierce as well. Like she's giving some attitude in that photo. Is that baseball bat she's got as well? Or?
Yeah.
Right. Like a Harley Quinn type vibe.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'd say if like you're a photographer, Ellie is probably one of the easiest people to work with because Ellie's just so good at just, expressing and just so open to just doing anything. It's
nice,
like,
man.
You feel like doing this? Yeah, let's do it.
Nice. I can also see like I can see the sun. The sun is coming from this way maybe because there's a reflection on there, but there's no reflection on the left-hand side. Almost like a yin and a yang. Like she's the separating. You've got the post in the middle. Was that intentional or was that just accident?
I think it was just accident.
Nice. And then what was the photo in the top left? The other photo?
In the top left. Oh, that's just me, Vic, and Ren.
You and the boys?
Yeah.
Nice, man. When was this taken?
There
he is.
Yeah.
On the beach?
Yeah, it was Lexi that took it.
Obviously, so you didn't set this up and take it. This is just
No.
Nice.
It was just us three. We had a nice day on the beach. And
Nice.
then we were like, oh, let's take some photos.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then the second row here, let's go through these three. That's a great shot as well.
Yeah, this is just from my latest YouTube video.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that a screenshot from the video then?
No, it's the photo that was in the video.
Gotcha, okay.
So we were just finished shooting and I saw this one dude there and the entire video is about me trying to get my friend Luke on Instagram, directed by Lawley, and him and me were going around, we were doing street photography, and he's not usually a street photographer.
Okay.
So, like, I can go up to people really easily and just talk to them. Like, it doesn't bother me much, but he was finding it quite hard. So, through the entire video, our entire goal was to go up and get him to ask someone for their photo. And he managed to in the end, and then he started to find it easy afterwards because he realised there's nothing actually to worry about.
Yeah.
But that was just as we were finished shooting, and I saw this guy standing there, so I just went right up to his face and shot a photo, and he didn't even realise I took it.
So he's completely oblivious there.
Unless he sees this Instagram page, he'll never know his photo is there.
I love it. And then, mate, is this the same guy with the bag of chips?
Yeah, I didn't even realise when I took his photo, but there's like a reel I put up of me talking to him, and I've taken his photo 3 times now. This is like the third, and every single time he
on
just...
different occasions?
Yeah, I think his
way.
name is John, and
Right.
he always walks up the seafront, but I didn't recognise him when I talked to him this time. I did afterwards, and every time I go up to him and I ask for a photo, he does the same, okay. And then he like sort of like sorts himself out and then poses and smiles. It's like he really enjoys having his photo taken.
Amazing. He's so, what's the word? When you're photogenic.
Yeah, he really is.
He really is. What's his name, John?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what he said. He's really cool as well.
John, if you ever see this, I would love to interview you, sir. I would love to interview him.
I'll ask him next time I see him.
Who's this lady here? Just a random old lady in the street?
It's Ren. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, not him.
That's I don't know. I saw her in Chinatown in London, and she was walking along. I was with my friend Lily, and we were coming back from her parents' house where I'd photographed their dog because their dog was on its last legs, and we were getting on the train, and I said to her, "Do you mind if we like take a little walk through London?" And she was like, "Yeah, okay." So we walked through Chinatown, and I was probably really annoying to be with because I was stopping every 5 seconds and photographing everyone. But I saw this old lady, and she was walking along, and I was like, oh my God, she'd make a great photo. So I was trying to take a photo of her face, but at the same time, I didn't really want to be that disrespectful and go right up and take it. But I also didn't want to ask her. There was just something about her not knowing that I was taking the photo that made me want to take the photo.
Nice.
Because it seemed like she was in her own little world.
Yep.
And I wanted to catch that rather than break that by taking the photo and her preparing herself for it.
Yes, pretending to be natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mate, it's a beautiful photo. And we have the man himself, Ren. So talk me through this photo. He's obviously reflecting in a mirror, but what's the vibe of this photo?
So like we were going out for a photo shoot. I said to him the night before, do you want to go out for a photo shoot? So he was like, yeah. So he messaged me a little bit before this photo was taken, and he was like, oh, you free tonight? Let's do it tonight. So I was like, okay. So I went around his, and he had like a few different outfits, and I think just before I took this photo, he was telling me, if you need me to stand in any way or you want me to do anything, just tell me, like, boss me around. And then I was like, okay. And then he went to go check himself out in the mirror like he always does, and he was doing like that to his little thing. And I said, oh, that looks really cool. Sit down in the seat. So he sat down, and I was like, yeah. So he took about 20 photos, like, I think it was way more than that, about 50 photos of him sitting in the seat. One where he goes like this with his eye, and another one where he's doing something, and yeah.
It's so simple. It's just so simple and so... Simple is the word I'm going to use. But it's clearly a beautiful shot. You can see him looking into himself. You've got the whole maybe questioning life kind of vibe. That's what I'm getting from it as well. But also the yin and the yang. You've got the light up in the top, and then you've got the darkness of the mirror. It's beautiful, mate. You've captured it beautifully.
Well, like the next one in the shot, and it was in the same position, I think is now what he uses as his profile pic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
he's doing like this or something. And yeah, there was just a few of them in his room. And it was like, oh, we managed to get some without even... I mean, this isn't his room. This was Romaine's room. And, like, the guitarist in a band he was in called The Big Push, if no one knows, he's brilliant.
I don't take coffee, I take tea, my dear. Tea, my dear. I'd like my toes done up one side. On one side. You could hear it in my accent when I talk. I'm an Englishman in New York. See me walking down Fifth Avenue. Walking K by my side. By my side. I take it with me everywhere that I walk. I'm an Englishman in New York.
But yeah, he was sitting in Romaine's room, and yeah, I mean, we took so many photos before we even left the house.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Now, talking of, we'll come back to these in a moment. Talking of working with creative geniuses, we've got a little one over there in the back called Victor's.
In and out.
Why you so upset? Don't you wanna be a...
I heard like gunshots earlier, but it was just
What? Right above you.
shook my house and everything.
Wow.
Drinking, I was on like meth, 9 ecstasy pills a day. I was taking opium. I was addicted to not being sober. What made me try and kill myself?
Realise this is all your fault, don't you?
No, fuck you. So no offense to you, bro.
Really?
You haven't experienced what I have. So I was like, no offense to you, but kind of fuck you. This
Intentional.
will kill me. Like, so many people were dying.
Wow.
Like 2 guys, and the whole bedroom was surrounded by police.
Really?
The sound shit, people don't want to hear it.
This spot here?
Yeah, it's iconic, this place, man. It brings me to my demise sometimes, you know?
Yeah, but it'll send you to heaven, mate.
You never been messy.
The slap and spill.
So you've learned about it, but you don't understand it.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
fun.
How we doing, Vic? You good? What's it like working with Vic?
What's it like working with Vic?
Yeah. Now's the time, mate. Now's the time. I got you.
Oh my god! Like I almost sold my camera last week after working.
I've had enough. That's
I'm
it.
done. I'm going back to work at Weatherspoons.
What's it like working with musicians? Like, is it you obviously work with a few, so there must be something in that you enjoy.
Well, I don't know if it's musicians or not, but like I tend to work with my like closest friends.
Nice.
So like I work a lot with my friend Jess, who like is probably one of the closest people in the world to me. I work a lot with Vic, but like if a random musician came out the woodwork tomorrow and said, "Oh, do you want to film this video for me?" I wouldn't be like, "Oh, yeah."
I see. So you're selective.
Yeah, if he offered me enough money, I would. But like, you know, I work with Vic because he's one of my closest friends, and I want to see him succeed. So I want to do the best for him.
Nice.
And, you know, sometimes we disagree when we make stuff, but it's never disagreement where we're like, "Oh, I hate you." It's because, you know, it's like, you know. So when I work with other people, it's generally because I see something and I want them to succeed, you know?
Nice.
It's never because I like working with a certain set of people.
So you mentioned, we've talked about your parents, we've talked about your early career, we've talked about your early life, kind of fleeing, if you like, Singapore to come and thrive here in the UK. Talk to me about Jess. You mentioned she's one of the most important people in your life, I believe, in your own words. Who is Jess, and why is she one of the most important people in your life?
So Jess is someone I met while I was working at Wetherspoons. Mm-hmm. And to begin with, we absolutely hated each other. Like, I couldn't stand her. She was one of the most annoying people I've ever met. And she knows this already. But, like, I was probably the same. But, like, when I was done work, when she quit Wetherspoons, and especially over lockdown, we started hanging out mainly because she looks amazing. Mm-hmm. So, like, she's a great person to start taking photos of because she's so confident in herself that she can, you know, go out there and just, I mean, the first photos I ever took of her, I think, were of her behind on the seafront, you know, like her posing like that. And she does these amazing photos, and she, like I said, she's so confident. So she's easy to work with. And from then, we just started hanging out as mates. And over time, she's become like one of my closest mates, almost like a sister that I never had, you know?
Oh, that's nice.
And because I'm an only child, and it's like, even when I've been through the toughest times of my life, you know, she's always, you know, like in the past few years when I've been through really tough times, she's been there. Like, it doesn't matter whether we're fighting, whether she hates my guts, she'll be there. It's like I say the same to her. Even if I'm really annoyed at you, I'll still be there for you if you need me.
That's a proper friend, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a proper friend.
And it's the same with people like Jake and Vic, you know. It's this close sort of knit friendship group that we have where we're always together, you know.
Beautiful,
like, even if we're not together physically, we're always together
Still
as a
together.
friendship, you know.
Yeah. So, and Jess is in the fitness world?
Yeah,
right?
she's a physical trainer.
PT, got it, nice. And have you worked with Jess on like a professional level in terms of, have you got any on here that we could see?
Yeah. This one's about Jess, but I can't open it. I'll give you the video.
Yes,
put it in
we'll put it on. Yeah.
There.
Okay, we'll put it on the show after. Gotcha. Oh, so she's into the kind of the beauty shots, as I call it, the kind of the lingerie showing skin, if you like.
Well,
or not.
She is and she isn't. Like, I've made a cooking video for her, which is yet to put up.
Oh, cool.
She talks about cooking. So, if you've seen her,
Meth or food?
Yeah, definitely meth. But, like...
Sorry, Jess, we've exposed you.
Yeah, her actual name is Heisenberg.
You're goddamn right.
But, like, yeah, no, she is one of the most insane levels of fitness that I've ever seen in someone. Like, you know, when I first met her, she had a perfectly chiseled six-pack like you could see in this, and she'll be stressing about, you know, how she looks in her photos, and he'll be like, my God, if about 99% of people in the world heard you speak like that, they'd be like, you're crazy, because I don't know about you, but I've never looked like that, and, like, I'm pretty sure most people won't, you know, it's unreal. It's like Ren. Physical specimens of, like, you know, what happened to you? A God zapped you? But, like, you know, so, yeah. I forgot the question.
You worked with her on a professional level.
Yeah. So I worked with her on a professional level quite a few times, and yeah, she's probably the easiest person to ever work with.
I spent 12 years in the fitness industry. I was a coach and whatnot, and I did the whole fitness modelling stuff, and so I've been in the position where I've had the six-pack and the shreddedness and the whatnot. So I can relate to what you were saying there about Jess not seeing it, because when you've got the six-pack and you're shredded, you're very conscious about how you look because you can see every single
tiny bit of
every single
No,
bit.
I completely get why, but I always assure her you don't have to worry.
Of course, no, indeed. She's
So
in a safe space.
She is. Like, I don't know, Jess is one of those people where if you throw her at anything, I think she'd be successful in it because she's just got that can-do, get up, go grab it sort of attitude.
Whatever it is, she has it.
Yeah, basically. Like
Nice.
Vic. You know, Vic is one of the few people that I watch him. Like, for the festival, he didn't have a tent. The guy doesn't have a tent. He doesn't, like, talk to anyone beforehand. He arrives at an airport with no clue on how to get to a festival and barely any money. Guy manages to get a lift off of the border force, who then stopped to pick him up alcohol, arrives at the festival and gets given a free tent.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like the sort of guy that shows up to anything and just is all right.
It's a magnet.
Yeah,
Just attracts it all. Yeah.
They're quite, I know a few of these people and I sit there for a while and I wonder, like, how? Mm-hmm. You know? But, yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. When we sat down with Vic, and obviously you've helped me edit the interview we did with Vic, but as soon as I sat down and started talking to him, just like yourself, I can see it. Like you've got it in terms of, and I don't want to limit it to this terms, but what I know about you, you've got it. You can capture it.
Oh,
and Vic has got it in terms of his performer element of it and his artistic in the music. But you appear to have this incredible gift, mate, where you can see it and capture it.
Oh, thank you.
Beautifully, mate. Like, are you aware of how good you are? Or are you still extremely humble and quite, with respect, naive into how good you are?
I don't like to ever think I'm good at stuff.
Okay.
Like, I say it quite openly. Like, I think most of my photos are... But, like... It's,
really?
Yeah, it's because, I don't know, I think the moment you start seeing anything as being good, then you stop striving to be good at it.
Interesting. So you want that hunger?
Yeah. I know some people think, like, my photos are, you know, good. But I personally, I don't know. I don't ever want to see them as good. Because I'd never want to be like, oh, I've taken a good photo. You know, I want to be at that level.
Do you think you'll ever get to the point where you're happy with a photo and you've gone, well done, Joe, I've made a good photo?
No.
Really?
I think, like, after I post stuff on Instagram or on YouTube, I... extremely stressed out for days thinking it's absolute rubbish.
Really?
Yeah.
So, mate, if you don't mind, let me paint the picture. You've got thousands of followers, literally. You've got hundreds and hundreds of likes and comments. You're surrounded by people who tell you how incredible your gift and your art is, and yet you still don't see it?
No.
How many more people will you need to tell you you're great before you realise you're great?
I don't think it'll ever happen.
Do you want to be known as great?
Not really.
Why?
Because I don't know. I never really thought about it.
I think you might be the first person I've met that doesn't have an ego. I think you have no ego.
I think I have a massive ego, just not in...
I disagree. I disagree. Yeah. I don't think you've got one at all. I say that with respect and kindness because I'm struggling to see how you can't see it because I see that photo of the guy at the top. Do you mind going back up to it?
Yeah.
I see that photo at the top.
It just wants me to sign in now.
Yeah, if you just refresh, it should work. That photo there, mate.
Yeah.
I'm honestly confident if you were to print it up on a canvas and found him to sign it in some way. I know he's just a stranger on the street, but if you had that in some maybe 3 foot by 2 foot printed canvas and put that on a wall in a museum, people would go, "That's fucking brilliant."
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And so that doesn't interest you in any way. That the glory that comes with this art is not of interest.
I don't know because I don't know how to word this. Like, I want to make something, but I don't know. I haven't done it yet, and I never want to rest on what I've done. And I feel like when people feel they're at a certain level, and they acknowledge it, it's almost like you're happy to be at a level. And I feel like you should never be content where you are, because if you want to be really successful, you should always be striving to be better than what you are.
Couldn't agree more.
Like, for me, there have been plenty of people that have taken amazing photos. Like, there's people like Henry Cartier-Bresson. There's, like, you know, massive street photographers in the past. And I look at their photos, and I'm like, oh, my God.
Can you show me one of theirs?
Yeah.
Can we do a comparison in new tab? Show me someone that you absolutely admire and think is great.
This is one of my biggest inspirations.
Show me your favourite photo.
I like all those photos. When you look at them, they're just marvellous. But some of them were taken during the World War.
Is this photographer still around, or is he passed?
I think he's dead.
Right.
Long dead. I don't know. I can't see it here. I know which one I'm on about, but it's stuff like this. Like, I don't know when that was taken, but knowing what I know about photography and old cameras, the fact that he managed to take some of these is just, like, on another level. Like, I can take a photo like that, and it's taken.
Yep.
If it's back beyond a certain date and ISOs are a certain way and stuff like that, I mean, back in the day, if you ever look at a photograph and you see someone and they're completely, like, you say a family photograph, like back in the 1900s or something. If you see one of them and everyone else looks a bit blurry, but one person in the photo looks dead on straight, like, you know, no blur, they're probably dead.
Right.
Yeah, because, like, they used to take photos with, like, people that were dead in them because it used to be a thing in Victorian England. But when you have a camera like that, in order to take the photo, you need to let light in. Yep. So the shutter needs to be open for a certain amount of time. And back then, when their ISOs weren't, like, crazy, like 62,000, you know, like you have now, I mean, 6,200 or something like that, you know, some next level one, the shutter would have had to be open for a while, so they would have had to stand still for, like, you know, 60 seconds or 30 seconds, depending on how old it was, to take the photo. So at some point, they would have moved a little bit, and it would have had a slight blur.
Right.
So, like, when you go back to when this guy took photos, which is, like, World War II and stuff like that, from what I understand, I'm not, like, a historian, so don't quote me, but, like, to get some of the photos he would have had to take, he would have had to have serious skill to capture those. And, I mean, you could go replicate a photo like that today, but I promise you, it would have been a lot harder for him to do.
Yes, no, he did. And therefore, it warrants more respect.
Plus, it's on film, so he wouldn't have even been able to see the final image afterwards, so he wouldn't have been able to retake it. He would have had to sit there, do spot metering, guess what the light was like, change his settings exactly to it, and then take the photo, which is what I try and do sometimes.
And this is an action shot. Someone's floating in the air.
So he would have had to do that whilst also moving up his shutter speed to make sure that he doesn't blur their motion and, you know, changing his aperture so they're all in focus. And, you know, he wouldn't have ISO on there. He would have to roll the film if this was taken after, like, you know, whenever rolls of film came out, like 35mm, he would have just had the ISO that the film is.
Yep.
So, you know, that's really difficult to take.
I don't know this photographer, so I don't want to say anything to discredit him, but if in this weird reality I had a choice in a museum, there were two photos presented on canvas, that photo there, and then would you mind just going back to your photo?
Yeah. Or
that photo there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have acknowledged the other photo because that one would have caught my eye.
Oh, thank you.
Would you guys agree? You have a unanimous decision here, my friend. So I don't know where you put this guy in your list, mate.
I think in the photography world, he's like Picasso.
Gotcha. I think I'm talking to Van Gogh then. Jesus.
Oh, thank you.
Mate, honestly, this photo in particular, I could talk about it for hours. I love it so much. I know I've mentioned it to you so many times. It's just a beautiful photo, mate. It's absolutely fantastic. Now we've touched on a few topics here. What I'm really keen to talk to you about, outside of everything else we're talking about, is AI. How do you think AI is going to change your job, but then future photographers moving forward?
So, like, I can see basically how I do stuff is I sort out my image inside the camera. Okay. So I logged on to Lightroom for the first time in like 7 months this morning to do a color photo that I was putting in a video. And I can't really figure out how it works. So if there's AI that can help me with that, I'm definitely happy for it. But I don't think it's going to change my black and white photography anytime soon. I mean, you can edit a photo really well with AI, and you can change how a photo looks and stuff like that, but it doesn't change how you take the photo.
Nice.
Like, there isn't going to be an AI that comes out on the street to, like, you know, I mean, yeah, like, pick up your camera and change. Like, you need human creativity behind your photos. So as long as there's people that like to see what I take, at least a few, then they're always going to enjoy the sort of photos that I take. And if I ever need to edit a photo, I'm useless at it. So, I mean, maybe the AI can help me do it.
So do you not... How much editing was done on this?
I changed the brightness a bit.
Fuck off, mate.
Yeah.
You did no editing on that?
I mean, I changed the brightening a bit, and I take up the structure of the photo a tiny bit, but I do it on Instagram before I put it out. So
that's Instagram editing?
Yeah.
Dude, you're so good. You have no idea. Wow. Wow.
And then, yeah, so for me, it doesn't really matter to me. I think AI is good. I mean, unless it kills me, it's good.
Yeah. Unless the Terminator actually comes real, indeed. And he's got a grudge against photographers who take black and white photos.
They're very screwed.
Mate, where's your career headed next? What is your bucket list of opportunities that you would love to see present themselves?
So, like, I'm doing currently, like, I got my YouTube channel going.
Which is?
Flackerz Photos.
Fantastic.
And I want to see where that can take me. So I want to at least get it to, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers or something like that.
Where are you now, do you know?
149, I think.
Internet, do your thing.
Thank you, if you can. And, like, yeah, and then me and Vic are working on a production company at the moment, which we're hoping will be able to do well. I don't know, I've got to talk more about it with Vic, but, you know, like, I trust Vic, so I'm just going to do what he says. And
production in what sense? Giving artists a platform to create their...
So, yeah, media. So, like, we're gonna help, like, artists and different people make the sort of media that they want, like, you know, from social media to music videos, all this sort of stuff. If you need, like, your media stuff handled by anyone, you should come to me, Vic, and our friend Dean.
Love it.
Yeah.
So and so there's a new idea, really. You have no website yet or anything like that?
No website or anything. Vic told me about it last night.
I see.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Right before he told me that our Minecraft base had been destroyed. Yeah.
I don't believe it. What happened? Who raided it?
I don't know.
What's their name? Let's find them.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I think I just did the one thing you're not supposed to do, like admit you play Minecraft on the internet.
You can do as long as you're not over 15.
Yeah.
So there's the possibility of a media company, but that sounds very exciting. In terms of your photography and your videography, where in 10 years' time, 35-year-old Joe, 45-year-old Joe, what message do you have for each of those?
I'm not really sure. Like, get money.
Money.
Yeah. Enough money to live, and I don't know. I'd like to have a family by the time I'm 45. You know.
Nice.
I'd like to not be working in the sense of going out and, you know, doing stuff. I'd like to be managing a company where I can sort of show people what I want them to do, and then they go out and do it for me. And
Beautiful.
then, like, I'm chilling. I have, like, I don't know, a family, and I'm earning a decent enough, you know, not so much that you're, like, 1% rich, but, like, you know, mildly rich.
Well, you don't have to worry.
Yeah, you don't have to worry. Yeah.
Nice, man. And when you talk family, how many kids are we talking?
Like, maybe 1 or 2.
Nice, man. Boy, girl?
Don't mind.
Don't mind?
Yeah.
Happy with either?
One of each, maybe.
One of each. Nice. Yeah. Nice. And how do you see yourself retiring? And where do you see yourself retiring?
I don't know if I really want to.
Like that.
Because
just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. And then I don't ever want to get old. You know? Like, I always see people that live out their lives, and you know, I'm happy for them. They look like they're living life, but I want to be at the point where I'm at my most successful, or you know, I'm continuing to increase success because I don't give up, and then yeah,
just ends.
Also seems to help art when you like
yes.
put halfway through.
Yeah, no,
you know?
indeed. Particularly when you're performing it. Yeah.
Unless, of course, I have a family, then I might stick around, you know, to help them. But, you know, I mean, like, realistically saying, I don't know. I don't ever see myself getting that old.
Nice, man.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And give me 2 bucket list items that before you go, you have to achieve. What are the 2 big things you'd like to do, whatever it is?
I really want to go. I went to Korea once, but I really want to go like to Japan or Korea with a camera and do really cliched street photography out there. And then the other
black and white or full color neon type thing?
Full color neon,
nice.
like cine still sort of. And the other thing I want to do before I die is jump out of a plane, probably another cliched thing.
Oh, nice.
I'm terrified of heights, so.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
That might be a big struggle.
Also, I want it to be the last thing on my bucket list, you know? Just, like,
just in case. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Do you mind if I share a story about my skydiving?
Yeah, go for it.
I went a couple of years ago, and very long story short, but they make you fill in all the paperwork in case you die, you know? Yeah. And I was speaking to my instructor, and I was petrified, like I was shaking, you know? And I asked him kind of, you know, what can go wrong? And he said the only real thing that can go wrong is if the total package is too heavy for the parachute. Now, at the time, I was 110 kilos, you know, 140 kilos now. By the time I was 110. And he was 80 kilos. Sorry, he was 90 kilos. So we had a combined package of 200 kilos, and the parachute weighs 50. So 250 kilos was what the package was.
Oh, wow.
And I remember saying to him, oh, so how much can the parachute take? And he went, 250 kilos. And I went, nope, not doing it. Like, no, not doing it. And he goes, you'll be absolutely fine. I've done this 14,000 times.
Oh, what?
And as soon as he said that, I thought, oh, okay, it's safe. You've done this 14,000 times and you haven't died? Oh, it must be really safe. So as soon as he said that, I was like completely cool with it.
God, I can't even imagine doing it once, never mind 14,000 times. That's
and then
insane.
As we were at the edge of the plane, you go up and whatnot, and you can feel the pressure on your ears and the face and whatnot. And he goes, he shouts in my ear just as we're about to drop. He goes, we're only going to be able to free fall for a few seconds because we're too goddamn heavy. Go! And I was like, so we literally fell for like 3 or 4 seconds before we pulled the chute, and then came down. Everyone else was having like a minute of free fall.
Oh my God.
It was very, very scary, but great fun. I highly recommend it. Now, mate, before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you so much for your time.
No worries.
I've not only enjoyed this, mate, but I can see you have it. And I can't wait to see your art moving forward. And I'm glad we've connected, and I'm going to get to see that. So thank you. Where can people find you? Where can people contact you?
You can find me at Flackerz Photos on Instagram, like FLACKERZFOTOS.
Just want to whack it up on the thing.
Yeah, whack it up there. That might be easier.
There it is.
Yeah, out there. And yeah, and you can find me with that exact same name on YouTube.
Fantastic, great.
Yeah.
Are you on Rumble at all yet, or Twitter?
I created one, but I haven't done anything with it yet. And I quit Twitter a few years ago. Even though they say it's impossible, I quit. Yeah, but I might get back on. Maybe that's why they say it's impossible to quit Twitter. But, yeah.
Mate, Flackerz Photos on Instagram, Flackerz Photos on YouTube. Mate, I appreciate your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
We'll do this again.
We will.
Cool, man.
Cool. Thank
nice.
you.
That's a wrap, team.